All right, guys, are you ready for this one? I'm just gonna go ahead and apologize that I have not been getting to you guys' videos. Life has been so unbelievably crazy here lately. But I got all my kids in bed early for this, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and warn you guys that this is a trigger warning. Which, by the way, if you send me a video and it is a trigger warning, please post it in the top so I will see it. All right, here we go. So a little background before I start. All of this happened when I was 15, but cursed with the body of a 20-year-old. My father was stationed at Fort Hood in Texas. I had just came to live with him since he had gotten back from being stationed in Germany. We lived on base, and my dad is a super friendly person. Like, he knows everyone in the neighborhood and tries to be close with the surrounding neighbors. So after about a week of me living there, the family across the street had decided to throw a party and watch the Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight. I know I said that wrong. I remember this so vividly because that night scared me. The husband, we'll call him Jose, was in his mid-30s. The wife, we'll call her Karen, was in her late 20s. They also had a newborn baby girl. The night of the party, my dad and I walked over there to see if it was a kid-friendly party for my little brother, since past parties in the neighborhood hadn't been. While inside the house, there was probably about 4 to 5 different couples with their kids. So it was clear that it was in fact a kid-friendly party. So my dad left me there to walk across the street to get my stepmom and little brother. Now, mind you, everyone there knew my dad, my stepmom, and my little brother. But this was their first time ever meeting me. So when we walked in, my dad had made sure to introduce me to everyone. While my dad was gone, I sat in their dining room table in the corner minding my own business on my phone, when Jose had came up behind me and put his arms around me and asked me if I wanted a beer. I told him no, that I was only 15 and my dad would kill me. He tried to convince me to drink it out of my own cup, since I brought my Yeti so my dad wouldn't know. I told him no and that I don't like to drink. At that moment, my dad walked back into the house. He was gone probably less than 10 minutes. Jose let up and walked to the other side of the dining room. I went back to being on my phone and I didn't think about it. As the night went on, Jose would constantly check on me. When the fight started, he actually came and sat on the couch that was closest to the dining room table, where I was still sitting at. He started a casual conversation with me about school and the move and if I had liked being there. I honestly didn't think much about it. He just seemed like a nice guy. Well, right after he got up and went into the kitchen, he grabbed a handful of tortillas and started throwing them all over the place. He ended up hitting me in the face and knocking my drink off the table with a damn tortilla. I started to clean up the mess when he came over to me and apologized and told me that he would clean it up and that I should probably go pick up the tortilla bits out of my hair and that he would get me a fresh cup of water and ice. When I went to the bathroom and when I got back, he wasn't in the kitchen or anywhere to be seen, at least from the dining room anymore. So I went back, minded my business on my phone. A little later, my head started hurting. I didn't want to make a scene, and I thought maybe it's just because I'm anemic, and dizziness and faints happen often for me. So I went to the bathroom. While I was in the bathroom, Jose walked in. He grabbed my hand, and I thought he was just trying to help me. He escorted me into his man cave/room, and I got a really bad feeling in my stomach. So I said I wanted to find my dad. He told me that if I stayed there and laid down, he would go get him. He walked out of the room, shutting the door behind him. So I stayed in the room. I didn't lay down. I just stood in the middle of this dark room. A few minutes later, he had walked out. Karen walked in and started screaming at me that I was a whore. And how could I sleep with her husband in her home with everyone there? And how she knew I wasn't 15. And how my dad set this whole thing up so Jose could cheat on her. By this time, my head is throbbing, and I'm trying to focus enough to tell her what's going on. And then my dad comes around the corner with Jose. Jose was freaking out. My dad and Karen are in full-on screaming argument. My dad grabs my hand and we walk back across the street to our house. The minute that I sat down, I passed out. I woke up in the morning feeling like crap. My head was still hurting. My dad asked me what had happened, and I told him exactly what had happened through the whole night. My dad told me that he would take care of it and he would talk to Jose and Karen just to get things straightened out. Well, later that day, my dad went to go talk to Jose and Karen about everything. And Jose denied everything. He told my dad he never spoke to me. My dad knew that wasn't true and that he was lying, so he just left. My dad never spoke to Jose or Karen again. A few days later, when my dad and I were walking to the other neighbors, they told us that Karen had left to go live with her parents and they were getting a divorce. For a while after everything that happened, no one had heard from Jose. Flash forward a few months later, Jose reappeared back at the house. And anytime he saw me outside, he would try talking to me, but I ignored him. Not long after that, we ended up moving off base, but still in the area. This all happened 5 years ago, and I ended up moving away on my own. The craziest part is that just the other day, Jose found me on Facebook and messaged me, asking me how I was and telling me how beautiful I am and had always been. First of all, you are so brave for telling your story. I really appreciate this. This story can help lots of young women. If you have a crazy military wife story and you want me to tell it, go to my Instagram. Send me a DM and I'll tell it. I can make it anonymous or I can tag you. I'm trying to keep up with these stories, guys. Just bear with me. They'll get told. Thank you so much for supporting me.